one. As soon as YouTube actually says it's going live. We're live. Hey! Hi! It's Sonic Talk here on sonicstadium.org. Twitch, YouTube, website, community, unofficial fan project in
Boy,
which we
you
talk
are
about
rusty.
Sonic.
You
No, that's
are rusty, GX.
a lot of that is on purpose.
Ah, okay.
a lot of what I said was by design, because that's, you know my sense of humor at this point. Hey, I'm Chris, aka GX, aka the Spin Dash, and I am one of your hosts of Sonic Talk, and I'm with another one of your with hosts tonight for Sonic Talk, Jason, aka Shigs.
Hey there, hi there, hello there, you're as welcome as can be.
And I am also with another with host with Alex, aka Knuckles. 87.
Heidi ho, neighborinos.
Hi, it's January 2023, and we've got a month of Sonic news to catch up on. A month? Probably a month.
I mean, technically longer, but I'm assuming you didn't go all the way back to the last time we did a news one of these.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't go all the way back there. You know, I went back to, well, I remember vaguely talking about this in December, whether we went into any sort of depth or not. Let's just skid right past it. But before we skid right past anything else, what have we been playing this week? And, I guess I'm gonna start because I don't have much to really update on. Work has been a lot. Being sick has been some, and I just haven't been playing a lot of games that I feel are just really worth talking about here. I started Kart Rider Drift, which is the console and I think mobile follow-up to the Korean Kart Rider series. It sort of gained a little bit of popularity. Popularity is the wrong word, but there are other people who were into it in the Sonic Stadium Discord, and it kind of fueled my continued getting into it. And I guess the best way I could say is it still feels like a very, very early release for this. And honestly, what it is it's a very straightforward kart racing game. It has characters based on Nexon's Kart Rider universe. So a lot of the original characters that made their way into some of the mobile versions or the original PC version that I don't think ever left Korea are featured in it. So probably no one you would recognize if you haven't played those previous games, but like, it's cute. It's balanced so that it doesn't have the mobile pay-to-win aspects or like, basically, every kart seems to have the same stats, so it all comes down to, can you race well enough? But it is chock full of all sorts of various cosmetics that you can buy for your characters and your karts, and you can make your own, is it liveries or liveries? What's the name for a skin you put on a car? A decal? I don't know.
I think it's liveries, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can make them different colors. Per the suggestion someone made in the Discord in a tweet, I unlocked a plane, and I made it red and white so that it looks like a Sonic reference. So, yay me. I win the nerd fight, copying someone else. I've also been playing more of Euro Truck Simulator 2. I'm not going to go into more detail about that beyond saying I now have all the DLC that they have, all the location DLC that they have, so I can now drive in Spain and Portugal if I would like. Last night, one of my big trips was I went from one coast of France to the other coast of France in a single trip, driving a bunch of, I think, like, bulldozers. But the only reason why I even bring it up is because I have recently invested in a racing wheel. Uh, it's just a simple Logitech one. I was able to get a good deal on it. It's interesting to kind of get a sense of what racing wheels are like because I had one way back in the PS2 era, which I also got very cheap, and it was just one of those simple, well, you can twist it and it doesn't really have much resistance and it sort of goes back in the middle, but the new ones are wild. Like, if you get I'm gonna say a decent starter wheel, like a Logitech one, it has rumble. It sort of has, resistive feedback, so it can increase the actual tension on the wheel if it seems like it's going to be a particularly weird or tough turn. Uh, Euro Truck Simulator is really great in that it provides different degrees of rumble for different scenarios. Like you could have background engine rumble, or, oh, I'm driving on a dirt road rumble, or, oh, there's another truck that's passing me. I can feel the wind resistance rumble on it.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's real nice. I wanted to spend some more time, like, combining that with the VR experience for the game, but
Ooh.
unfortunately, hey, guess what? The Quest 2 head straps are not very good, and mine is breaking directly after the 2-year mark, meaning I can't get it replaced by Facebook.
Well, you know what? You'd probably want to buy a third-party one anyway.
Yeah, I've been looking. I'm just waiting for next payday to be able to
Like,
justify it to myself.
I would hope those aren't very expensive, at
No,
least.
they've third-party options have come down a bit. Like you can get, I think, like 30 to 50 seems like a reasonable range. There's a 50 one I'm looking at that actually does have a battery pack attached to it. So
Oh.
I'm looking forward to more of that. I bought so many games over Christmas and I just haven't had the time and energy to play anything except trucking, no, brain turn off trucking and brain turn off kart racing. And my only other game is brain turn off organizing. I wrapped up A Little to the Left, which is, I guess you would call it a puzzle game. It's a game that presents you with a series of scenarios with no instructions, with just the broad or understanding that you need to organize this stuff. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm going to put these batteries inside the proper battery-sized space in this tray, and the pencils will go in this space in the tray. And sometimes it's like, oh, here's a series of jars that have designs on them. Rotate them so that all of the designs line up to make a single design. And some of the things have different multiple solutions, but it's a very nice, pleasant game. I don't know how much I'd actually recommend it unless you really have that OCD sort of, I just need to, create order in the universe. But I do have that in my brain, so yay me.
I do not, so that's definitely not a game for me.
No, but Jason, you have something that I'm rather interested in, and will probably like more than you whenever I get around to it.
Yeah, I've tried out a few Xbox games, and and I do have one new little system I bought. I've been on a kind of a retro gaming kick. First, well, before I talk about that, first I was gonna mention we here at the show are also, besides Sonic fans, we're kind of big One Piece fans, and
Hmm.
every
Yes,
once in a
we are.
while, the Bandai Namco will release a new One Piece game, and the latest one is One Piece Odyssey. It's a turn-based strategy game. Well, mostly just turn-based RPG.
I did not
The game's
realize it was turn-based. Huh.
Yeah, it is very Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest style of game where you're not. This time, it's not Mister Straw Hat Luffy constantly. You're playing as the whole team, with the exception of Frankie and Brooke, who are otherwise preoccupied. And there's no Jinbei on the Straw Hats, I guess, in this one. Um, but yeah, it starts out really good. If you've played, there's a 2-hour demo you could try out. That flow's really good, and it actually got me really excited about the game. There's some good action there. The storytelling's pretty good. There's one thing throughout the whole game is there's a lot of dialogue happening all the time. So the story moves at a pretty good, beat. The one
Hmm.
thing I'll say is early on in the game, this one girl you meet, she taps everyone and steals their powers, makes them forget about their skills, and that forms into these little green cubes that they have to try and get their skills back and to get their abilities, powers back into form, which they do a little bit, but to get a big chunk of them, they have to go through these I forget what they're called, like memory lands, and they have to relive old memories. So you're going through past stories, like the first one, which I'm almost done with, but I haven't played a lot of this game, so I'm uh still pretty behind as Alabasta. Now the thing
Hmm.
is, she tells you, oh, well, since memories aren't always exact, things will play out a little differently than they did before, or in this case, a lot differently than they did before. Like all of them, team up on Bon Clay, and the uh, the cannon that's goes off at the end of that thing, the bomb that wasn't in the clock tower. They didn't even get it to the clock tower this time, and it ends up Luffy has to save the day instead of that bird guy. He's not even in this thing at all.
Oh, they can't not have the bird guy.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really bothering me, it's not really the turn-based RPG battling itself. That's fine, and I know that you have to usually do a lot of it as you're going progressing. The problem is there's a constant need. One, the story really doesn't match up with Alabaster well at all. They're going in places where they're suddenly lost that they remember before, and stuff like that. But also, they're constantly having to backtrack to get a thing they need to progress and go back forward to the area they were before. And this happens a ton of time in the game, and it's a bit on the frustrating side for me.
Ah,
And
so
again, it's one
padding.
of these RPGs that, yeah, it's padding. There's a lot of padding in this game. I mean, you can avoid some enemies, but if you're doing that, you're not or being able to level up to enough to where you get to a really heavy boss, like say Crocodile. Spoiler alert: I have gone up to Crocodile. I haven't like beaten him yet. Because you fight him twice. The first time is really easy, and the second time, for some reason, some kind of green energy hits him, and now he's like incredibly impossible to beat.
I'm
So now I'm
guess
going
I'm
around
guessing this
leveling
is
up my characters a little bit more.
I'm guessing this is from the big bad guy or something.
Yeah, it's like the boss man of that particular area. But yeah, I mean it's okay if you like Japanese RPGs. I think you'll be fine with it, especially if you like the Dragon Quest, type of game. It does fall around there. I do like that every character has their own abilities, and switching them out really helps. Which I like to do. Like say, Nami is not that good on one. She has just the cross tempo where she just throws her device, but then she also has thunderbolt tempo, and that can do damage to every single person who enemy that you're fighting at once. Because sometimes it could be like 7 or 9 enemies at once that the group of are fighting, which they're grouped up as 4 at a time. So
Hmm.
using that might help. Of course, Luffy's great on one, and as well as Sanji. Usopp surprisingly very is perfect. Well, not surprisingly, it's perfect from long distance fighting. If you're using like his exploding star attack, he can do several at once. There's some creatures that are very weak to him, but then if he's one on one on the human, he can fool them with like the rubber band of doom or the inflatable hammer. It'll actually do some damage and dizzy them just by psyching them out. So they do a good job of using the character's abilities for fighting. And you can also, if one gets too weak or you feel like one other has a better ability, you can swap them out mid fight. which is also a pretty plus. It's like I say, it's a pretty good game. I would just wish it wasn't so padded and forcing you to go back. But other than that, it's all right.
Hmm.
Not my favorite One Piece game, but it's pretty good. The other thing I always wanted to talk about is ever since I've been to the Oregon Retro Gaming Expo, which is I guess is the biggest in the states, been kind of on a retro gaming kick. I've gotten the Atari 7800 and been buying some homebrew games like that for like Baby Pac-Man, which was never ported to any system ever because it's got a pinball machine aspect to it.
Oh boy.
But one of the things I bought was an Evercade, the Evercade EXP. It's the latest in the line of Evercade products. If you've heard of these, I don't know if you've heard of these or not. They're mostly just available in the US on Amazon and BestBuy.com. You're not going to see them much in actual physical stores. For the retro gamers, these are basically like a system with little cartridges inside of. Oh, I just threw a bunch of them by accident. Plastic cases similar to like the Sega Genesis plastic cases, each one having color instructions, and most of them, except for a few where it's indie originals, are basically collections of older arcade games or older systems. Like I have the Atari Arcade Collection Volume One, the Atari Lynx Collection Volume One and Two, Data East Arcade, IREM, which comes with the system. Also, I should mention the EXP has a built-in collection inside of Capcom arcade games.
Hmm.
The other two I got here are Namco Museum Collection Volume One and Television Collection One, which is actually surprisingly really good. They got some good stuff on there, including some homebrew and television games. One that's kind of a copy of Ghosts and Goblins. It surprisingly works for it in a television game. So yeah, unlike a lot of modern retro systems where you're just downloading some ROMs or not and everything, each one comes with a cartridge inside of a plastic case, and the cartridge just slides right in. There is an Arcade Versus you can buy for if you want to hook it up to your TV. You can have two cartridges at once, and I think it comes with two controllers, so you can have two-player games. What makes this different from the last Evercade portable that they put out is it has a button for Tate mode. So if you have games like Burger Time or any horizontal shooters, all you have to do is press that button and it instantly flips to the side view from the screen, which is normally wide, to a nice long horizontal view. And it's got buttons just for that, A and B buttons just for that Tate mode for you to use, which is pretty nice for if you're playing old school arcade games. So if you're like me, kind of getting into retro games, or collection, or just want to get collections where you can wrap it up real fast, I'd recommend. It's a nice little thing, especially if you're, like I said, into retro gaming and such. Okay, Alex, what have you been playing?
Well, I have been playing a lot. Unlike Chris, I have been both buying a lot of games this holiday season and playing a lot of games this holiday season. And like, honestly, I'm having trouble figuring out like where to start. But so like, I don't know. I guess like mostly how you could like mostly define how I've been playing things lately is I have finally after 6 months of owning the damn thing, my Steam Deck is finally like in a good place. You know, it has everything is where I want it to be. It's doing everything I want it to be. It has all of the memory I need it to have. Like so like I upgraded the memory from 64 gig to 256. I managed to get a terabyte micro SD card on sale.
Ooh.
And yeah. So like finally I'm no longer having issues with this thing's memory. And I've got all the emulators working well, finally. I've managed to like overcome all of the random glitches that pop up. Like at one point, my Discovery app stopped working, and for everyone who doesn't own a Steam Deck, the Discovery app is basically like how you download, how you search for and download apps on this particular brand of Linux that Steam Deck uses in desktop mode. I forget what it was called, but it's Linux. So like yeah, so finally my Steam Deck is in a good place, and I have memory for a lot of games. And among those games, the one I have been playing by far the most is one I didn't get on sale. It's one I've had for a while. Um, Metal Gear Solid 5.
I mean, that's really the beauty of the Steam Deck, is that you have the library for it.
Yeah, I'm your library.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I got one myself, and it's. I am amazed at what kind of games it could put out for a portable PC. That's. I mean, it's expensive, but it's still amazing.
Yeah. And like, eventually I'm going to play some of the games I got on sale, and like I got Horizon Zero Dawn on this thing. So that's on sale. That's pretty good. That's kind of my highlight. And but
playing a PlayStation 4 game on a portable is just nuts.
Yeah, a PlayStation exclusive game. And like I've even gone ahead and I redid all of my game art files. So finally, like every single game is identifiable at a glance. So, that's nice. Because I had some repeating art. I had a bunch that were just blank art. So, yeah. So, like, this thing is the best it's ever going to be for me. But Metal Gear Solid 5, that is the primary Steam Deck game I have been playing. And this is a game I've actually had for years on my PS4. I got decently into it before, like, I kind of got sucked into other games, and it's always hard for me to get reinvested into a PlayStation or Xbox game once I'm uninvested, because I have to like sit down and I have to like focus and play. And whenever I go traveling somewhere or go to see my parents, like I guess any console game I'm playing, unless it's on the Switch, just gets thrown out the window. So, like, having this thing on the Steam Deck means I'm finally going to actually be able to play it and beat it. And I've gotten pretty far, and this MGS5 is a really interesting game. Like, I've never, it is... But back in the day, like, I wasn't thinking, you know what, Metal Gear Solid needs to be an open world game. But, like, this game, like, makes a pretty interesting case for it. Because, like, you're unlike other Metal Gear Solid games, this one is like mostly gameplay. Like, it does certainly have some long cutscenes, but because of how it's structured, you will spend way more of this game just playing things, because there's just so much to do. And I guess Hideo Kojima didn't want to spend the money on like, I don't know, giving everything cutscenes. And so this is like a combination of like a stealth espionage game, action game, and a resource game. So like you unlike other mainline Metal Gear Solid games, in this, like, collecting resources is critical to upgrading your weapons and outfitting yourself with better gear and all that good stuff, and making more and making more money. And it's just it's so fun gathering resources, because the primary method with which you do this is you just attach a big balloon to things, and you send it into the stratosphere. Like in this game, you need to recruit men for your private military organization. And so what you need to do is you knock out the men. You knock out someone, and then you just attach a balloon to them, and it's called a Fulton extraction. You send them into orbit, and they get picked up by like a plane up there somewhere, and then they just get convinced to join your side. And like so like, you can just like kidnap an entire base full of soldiers using this method.
Join our side. We have balloon rides.
Yeah, it's silly. I'm kind of expecting this game to like end in a twist of it's all a simulation or something, because that's just what Metal Gear does. Like, Metal Gear, it will be like completely conventional, and then all of a sudden it'll just throw some real freaky stuff at you, some weird, freaky sci-fi stuff. um,
So
but
what I'm
like,
hearing is that it's a Metal Gear game.
yes, exactly. And it's not really I don't think this is going to go down as my favorite. Like, I don't think that this really scratches the Metal Gear itch that the other Metal Gear games did for me. But regardless, it does scratch like a very different kind of like open world itch. Because running around the overworld and accomplishing all of these um, uh, optional objectives, gathering resources, like all that stuff is just so much fun. And on top of that, like there's even like a management element to this where you've got to like manage your base, which is like, by the way, like you're based on an oil platform in the middle of the in the Seychelles Islands, which I think is in the Indian Ocean. So like yeah, and like if this is probably the first Metal Gear game that works really well as just a straight up combat game. Like if you really want to, you will eventually have the resources to just come at this game as a proper third person shooter. And just like gun people down with all these high-powered weapons and tanks and all that stuff. So, like, there's a lot of versatility in regards to how you go about any mission. You can use stealth, you can use straight-up action. And it gives you, like, so many more tools in past Metal Gear games, too. Like, you can have a horse, buddy, which you can use to, like, ride around. Or you could, like, or you can have a dog, which will sniff out enemies and help take down enemies for you if they get close enough. Or you can if you decide not to kill her, because she actually starts out this game as a boss, but you can also get this character named Quiet to join your side, and she will like kind of act as sniping support for you, which is like so weird in a Metal Gear game to like have someone actually like covering you while you're doing things. So like yeah, even airdrop vehicles like tanks and cars. Of course, you'll lose all stealth when you do that, but still. So, like, yeah, like what I lose in this kind of being a proper Metal Gear game, I gain in just having this really versatile action game, and it is still a lot of fun to this day. And I'm really hoping that I don't know, like Konami and Kojima somehow hash things out or whatever, because we all know that Konami no longer really has the capacity to make something like this. Like, they have just completely gutted their own ability to make games. So I really do hope that, like, someday we get some sort of successor to this, and it's not the last game in the series. I'm not counting Metal Gear Survive.
What? Okay. Now hear me out on this. Hear me out. I think I have a good plan on this. What if it were a pachinko machine?
Well, I mean, they already made the best Metal Gear game into a pachinko machine, so...
Oh, they made the best Metal Gear game, and it's a pachinko machine? Very strong support for this.
They turned it, and they ported it to pachinko.
Oh man, that must be a great pachinko machine.
Metal Gear Solid 3, for anyone who's curious. But, like, okay. So, like, that is, like, has been my primary experience with the Steam Deck lately, outside of emulation and such, which I could go on with that too, but I won't, because I want to move on to what was my big Christmas present for this year, and that was I'm finally a fully next-gen gamer, or current-gen gamer, because I have finally got ahead, and I've gotten an Xbox Series X. And I gotta say, I am really enjoying this thing. Even though it is really just a much more powerful Xbox, it's one of the big advantages of going to this versus even the old One X is just how fast this damn thing is. Like, this thing is a beast in terms of speed. Like, it starts up in a flash, it loads up everything super quickly, and the games that it can improve visually just look gorgeous. Like, Halo Infinite was acceptable on the Series X, but on the One X, it just runs like a dream on
I
this
think
damn
you
thing.
got
It
those
is
two mixed
beautiful.
up.
Oh, what?
You said
Well,
you said it runs like a dream on the One
Series
X.
X.
I meant Series X because Microsoft's naming convention is stupid. I don't just call this thing the Xbox Infinity or something, or the Infinite. Like they clearly want this to be like the last Xbox that they
Because they
make.
wanted an
So
S and an X version. To
Call it
save
the
money,
Xbox
figure out
Metro.
a
the X
$300 version.
the Xbox Infinite X. Come on, better name and
No,
less
it's not.
confusing to
That's
me.
not a better name. That's not a better name at all.
It's better than Series or One.
But you just said Infinite and then added the letter X on it again. That doesn't make anything any better.
Okay, the Xbox Infinite Pro, is that better?
No, it's all bad.
Okay, well, regardless.
They should just call it the Xbox 2.
And in
Perfect.
addition to that, like, I must admit, I just enjoy having a controller that has USB-C on it. Like, I can finally just throw away those micro USB cords. Well, not throw away because I still have other uses for them, but like I can put away the micro USB cords now and just do USB-C for almost everything I have.
I'm surprised you have them at all. I just put rechargeable batteries inside mine.
Well, the rechargeable batteries still need to charge with the micro USB.
I have a dedicated charging device.
I don't. I just plug the
I just went to IKEA, bought whatever rechargeable thing they have that are AA format, and then I just use those.
But yeah, it is a better experience. I don't know if it's worth $500 for most people if you already have a One X. But like, if you have an older Xbox One, it is probably worth it just to have access just so that all your games run better, because they do. Like Unleashed, my God, I know this is old news, but it's still something else actually seeing it. Unleashed actually runs well now. It runs perfectly. How did it took 2 generations of hardware for them to manage it, but they finally did it. Like, Adabat is still kind of a garbage level. Okay, it's not garbage, but it's not the best level.
No, lean into it. It's a garbage level. And so all the Sonic fans.
It finally runs well, though, which makes it much nicer to play.
Oh, yeah, you don't have any kind of humongous drop in frame rate while you're going over waterfalls or a huge, ocean piece.
Like, it still has cheap deaths, and it still has like kind of some crap level design spread throughout, and controls that aren't really the best. But this is the best representation of Unleashed, and that's great. And I can't believe they actually did that. But like everything that I used to play on the One X is just so much better now. So yeah, and but in addition to that, like because I got a new Xbox. I was at my parents' when I got it, and so I didn't have access to my original Xbox, which you can actually, fun fact, you can network transfer your games between Xboxes now. I don't know if you all didn't know that, but you can do that so you don't have to like re-download everything, and that's really useful. But I didn't have access to my old games, and so I was encouraged to download some Game Pass stuff, and yeah, of course, I did the Halo games. Obviously, I got Panzer Dragoon Orta on there. Still looks great, Panzer Dragoon Orta. That was the first game I played, just because it's kind of part of a tradition for me when it comes to Xbox. But I also went ahead and decided I was going to try out a couple of Game Pass games. And so I went ahead and I downloaded Deathloop and High on Life. Now, Deathloop, definitely the better of those 2 games, although I haven't gotten as far into it. But like just from what I'm seeing, like Deathloop, it's just like it's got great character dialogue, it's got great gameplay. This is, I guess, love how it works the roguelike stuff into the formula alongside like a great narrative and all these fun narrative devices like getting constantly harassed over the radio by your rival in the game, or like seeing all these like thoughts from other versions of yourself just spread throughout the game world, giving you hints, and it's got great world design. That I guess it's like kind of based in 1960s futurism or something. But just I cannot wait to get further into that game so I can like talk more about it. But I guess it just feels so good to play. And High on Life, that is the game that was getting a lot of hate on Twitter, but I gotta say, like I had a lot of fun with it.
Well, there are other reasons for it to get a lot of hate right now.
Well, yeah, sure, now, but you know, I meant before all of that stuff with Justin Roiland went down.
I mean,
or got exposed.
At some level, though, there are a lot of people who are really sick of the Justin Roiland shtick, divorced from his, felony accusation.
Yeah,
we'll say.
But regardless, it's a fun. It for one, like it is a very fun game. It's a pretty nice first-person shooter that's just purely focused on the single-player experience. I don't get a whole. Which between that, Deathloop, and Wolfenstein, I have been loving like seeing more of that over the last few years. But what I like about High on Life is that what.
Deathloop and Wolfenstein don't have guns, so it won't shut up no matter what situation you're in.
I mean, you can shut up the guns. Like there are settings.
You can setting to drop it down a little bit, but then even
you can make them not. You can make them not talk out of like outside of critical story sequences if you want to. Like I don't think talking guns is really a problem in this game. Like
I mean, I would say the assessment that I've generally heard online is that it's fine. It's just like as a shooter, it's not doing anything special. It's not doing anything super interesting outside of it's okay and the guns talk, and you may or may not find that funny depending on your relationship with the Rick and Morty thing that Rick and Morty does.
Well, I got engaged with the combination of the first-person shooter mechanics and the platforming elements. So like that combined with the colorful visuals and I don't know, like at the very least, I think the story is fun. Like I did not find myself bored at any point while I was playing. So like all that just combines to make this a pretty fun experience for me. One I was willing to see to the end after I think it's about 6 hours long. Might be a little longer, I don't know. But like yeah, so there's like a lot of jumping around and swinging and a lot of traversal combined with the gunplay, and the guns have mechanics that will help you with traversal. So it's just I just find it to be a pretty fun game.
I haven't played it myself, but there is one thing that I definitely do respect in the abstract, and it's that they've included 4 full movies in the game that you can just watch.
Oh yeah.
I have the list in front of me: Tammy and the T-Rex, Blood Harvest, Vampire Hookers, and Demon Wind.
And unfortunately, I don't like horror movies very much, so I kind of like. When it comes to Tammy the T-Rex, I did sit down there and watch it for about 5 minutes before I.
Oh, not even schlock? Absolute miserable schlock?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll like it if I sit down and watch it, but like, I don't know. I mostly just wanted to, get the game done so I could delete it and get stuff from my old Xbox onto it. But like I don't know. So but there are some, I think, funny jokes in this game. There's actually a decent amount of like a serious storytelling in this game, which I appreciate. And there's a lot. In terms of characters and dialogue, there's a lot more to this than just Justin Roiland's stick. Like they've got like three other comedians in this game at minimum, including Okay, no, I don't. I'm not gonna look up their names, but I know that they're comedians who have been in other things, and they've got some good lines in this. I think, although there's also a lot of unnecessary cursing, which should not be a surprise, I suppose. But that's in there.
Let's
But
see. Michael Cusack, JB Smooth, Betsy Sidero, Tim Robinson, Laura Silverman, Dave Herman, Kevin McDonald, and probably others.
But so High on Life. If you like first person shooters with some platforming elements, and you don't utterly despise Rick and Morty's humor, I think you should at least check it out on Game Pass. Maybe not buy because of who the money will get. Of who the money might go. Who the money would go to.
Apparently, he is no longer with the studio. Nor is he.
But I don't know.
Working with Adult Swim, or rather, vice versa.
He's no longer working with anybody, really.
Like I don't know what royalties are associated with this. So I'm like, if I'm just saying, if you have Game Pass, at least give it a quick spin, because that's the only reason why I even checked it out. But okay, so in addition to that, I also have been playing High on Life. God damn it, Hi-Fi Rush.
Which is the latest game from Bethesda, which was just announced this week and dropped on the same day. I love it when stuff like that happens.
Tango, I think.
From Tango Gameworks and Shinji Mikami. And I generally suck at rhythm games. So if this describes you, let me just tell you, this game will still be a lot of fun to you. Like, I'm actually...
You don't have to be good at rhythm games to be good at this, so I'll say that. There's a whole lot to like about Hi-Fi. God damn it! I knew I was going to run into trouble when I put Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes, Hi-Fi Rush. There's a lot to love about Hi-Fi Rush. Like the cartoony graphics are just gorgeous. Like I am not surprised that this is an Xbox Series exclusive in terms of Xbox platforms, because this is just a gorgeous game. This looks like a cartoon from the mid 2000s, which it just has the look. The characters have the look. It has the color palette. Like it just looks like a cartoon from that era.
I like the energy.
Sorry, go ahead.
I say I like the energy that it has. I like the environments and the effects. I just think the character design looks like third-tier Cartoon Network.
Oh no, I like it, but then again, I don't. I have terrible taste when it comes to that stuff.
This looks like the cartoon that comes on after Ben 10.
Do you mean like Stormhawks?
I don't know, maybe. I didn't mean a specific
vibe.
one. I meant generally speaking.
I don't know.
The cell shading is amazing. That there is actual 2D animation occasionally thrown, throughout, and you're not sure which part is actual 2D animation and which part is just the game's graphics. So
I'm generally able to tell because when it comes to 2D animation, the lines are smoother and all that, but still, it's really close. Like this is the closest I think they've ever come. But as nice as the graphics are, the real highlight here is the gameplay. And the gameplay, everything is built around rhythm. And what I appreciate about this is that even though you don't need rhythm to be good at the game, I actually don't have a lot of trouble playing to the rhythm. Like it's accessible enough to me that even without the on-screen indicators, which I haven't figured out how to turn on yet, even without that, I'm still mostly able to fight to the rhythm, and that is just so satisfying because it adds musical beats to the soundtrack as you're fighting, and it just sounds so good, and it makes the combat encounters even cooler to experience. This is probably the most creative I have ever seen a rhythm game mechanic worked into something, and it is kind of crazy to me that it took them this long. But they must, I can only imagine they must have worked really hard trying to get all this stuff to work properly and be as accessible as it is. But if you have a PC or an Xbox Series, you really should check this out. And I like this seems like a game I think you would really like, Chris. I don't know if your PC can run it, but I hope it can.
I have a pretty decent PC. I'm guessing it could probably run. I'm guessing it's probably not going to be a lot more demanding than Sonic Frontiers on highest settings.
All right, good. But all right, I think.
Also, I already have it
games need to
downloaded. I
talk
just
about.
haven't started yet.
All right, I'm looking forward to hearing your impressions. Maybe next month.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
The Mario movie.
I'm neutral on it. I was gonna say some news.
Mario news.
No, well, why are we gonna
welcome
talk
to
about the
Mario
latest
talk.
trailer?
Well, this is Mario talk now.
I mean, they showed off the cat suit in the latest trailer. Donkey Kong laughs at it.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong just sounds like Seth Rogen, which is not surprising at all.
He sure does.
It's really weird.
It's all very weird. Also, the fact that Donkey Kong talks.
I will just say this about this movie: it does not look terrible, but it has not grabbed me yet at all. Like nothing they've shown me has really made me looking forward to it. But I'm happy that it at least doesn't look like a disaster. Which
I mean, I fully expect to enjoy it more than either of the Sonic movies. I understand I'm unique
that as well.
I understand that I'm perhaps unique in that perspective on things, but you know.
I mean, my expectation is that this will be better than either Sonic movie.
Okay, fair enough. But what was very good was how Sonic Frontiers did last year.
Eek, sold 2.5 million units.
I'm not as excited about that as you.
I'm happy that it's doing well, like really well. I'm happy about that. That is the best a Sonic game has sold since I think the Dreamcast era or something. It's been a while.
It's certainly riding on a wave of I wouldn't say accolades because it doesn't sound like it's critically all that there, but I suppose it's more critically there than... There's more people excited about this game, whether they think it's critically good or not, which is really weird thing to deal with. Like, I'm listening to the Giant Bombcast, and it's like, oh, there's Grub and Dan, and they're just talking about, like, yeah, this game's not very good, but it's fun.
They're free to be wrong and right. I don't know.
Which are they? Like I am believe they're right in some facets.
They're wrong about being bad, right about being fun.
I think you have those reversed. No. Yeah, people like this Sonic Frontiers. I can tell by the conversations that I have whenever I'm the only downer in it, where I don't understand the fun that people are having, and I'm like, oh, yeah, but then you got past the first stage and you saw that it's the same exact thing for the rest of the game, right? And they're like, yeah, yeah.
And we're having fun with that stuff, Chris.
Apparently, I can't stop you guys from having fun with subpar open world, but whatever.
I think you mean par open world.
I played Xenoblade and Pokemon Legends Arceus last year. I have Elden Ring queued up to play next. I have, like... Oh, I think I played, like, one other major open world game last year, and it just does not... Like, Pokemon Violet and whatever the other one... I was gonna say Saffron. No, Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. I think those games are still better games than Sonic Frontiers. I don't care if they're more technically sound or not. They're still better games.
Anyway, as the headline on screen says, it was also the 16th best-selling game of 2022, which, given when it came out, and given the fact that it's not like God of War or something, is pretty impressive, I think. Like, that Sonic is back for the first time, like, in terms of popularity since the GameCube.
This is the first, like, mainline game that came out after the movie. I think after either of the movies.
Yeah, like if you don't count Sonic Colors Ultimate. But yeah, like I do think that like the movies are a pretty massive driver. Like I predicted this on Twitter last year
Yeah,
that
it's
Yeah.
true. I believe that
just
too.
due to the success of the movies, Sonic was going to be as big as he's been in decades, and that is yeah. I think that's true now. Like, it's
Yeah,
pretty hard to deny.
I definitely think the Sonic 2 movie helped with the sales of Sonic Frontiers by quite a bit. And he's just had a really good 2022 with that, and the origins and the comics, and then Sonic Prime, which was that, but Sonic Prime was after everything else.
Yeah. And speaking of Sonic Prime, I know that we don't have that in the show notes, but that's also doing pretty good. Like I think it's had like one of the best, if not the best, premieres of a children's cartoon on Netflix.
Seems to
I'm
be like it's hitting up there in the charts.
like that. So like now Sonic has a hit TV show on Netflix, a hit movie franchise, and a hit video game, and a comic book that's like way past 50 issues now. That's just like it's just kind of wild, just how popular this character is now.
It's something. It sure is something. I speaking of Prime though, like we know there's going to be more episodes this year. They have announced that
Which we knew, but
we did know. Like
I mean, that was obvious. If there wasn't, we'd be massively disappointed.
I think it just comes down to like, hey, they have to at least say it. It would have been nice if they gave us a sense of when, but
yeah, but Netflix has to be Netflix.
Netflix has to be Netflix, and they never announce something in a meaningful way ahead of time. So
Sonic Prime has set a new debut for Netflix by getting 67 million view hours in 3 weeks. So yeah, beat Cuphead even.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I like Cuphead, both the game and the animated series.
Cuphead's no slouch. That's a pretty good show.
But also, I think Sonic has more main appeal than Cuphead does. Like,
yeah,
I understand
but like
Cuphead's getting the toys in Target, but Sonic has the toys in Target and Walmart.
Well, I bring up Cuphead because that is like the third best performing Netflix cartoon ever. And the other one is Maya and the Three, which I think is a movie. Oh, limited series from don't remember his name, but I like his work. But yeah, so we got a live event coming on. Oh wait, it already happened.
Yeah, it already. That's why I didn't put it in the notes, man.
Who put it in the notes?
I put it in the notes because it happened only yesterday.
Okay, well, does anyone know what happened? Like,
No.
Is there a reason for us to talk about it?
No, I didn't. Okay. In fact, I had to say I don't know exactly what they're going to have in the article itself whenever I wrote it up.
From what I read on Twitter from Emmy, I forget her last name. She said it was like a promotional event with like a little photo booth opportunity things. So I think a little AR activity there. I think you could take a photo with Sonic, and then they had a poster done by Tyson Hess that they were giving out as well.
Yep, it's a neat poster.
Yeah, I do think I do think it is also important to note that Sonic Prime could get more episodes beyond the initial 24. Like, it has been confirmed by people on the production that they want to make more after this season is done. But, Netflix is Netflix, so who knows whether or not their most successful shot.
So what I'm hearing is that it will do well and then immediately be canceled partway through.
Yeah, really.
They will renew it for a second season, and then they will cancel that second season. Although apparently this is supposed to like end without a cliffhanger or anything, so.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, I think what I would like to see is you can get the same team, same writing thing, same whatever, but rather than continue Sonic Prime, have it be a new series. Like, they just give it a new name and have it be about something else. Have maybe some of the similar characters and just make it about a different concept.
Like, Man of Action is no stranger to that sort of thing.
Oh no, have you seen Ben 10? Have you seen Ben 10? Second Ben 10 reference of the episode.
Although I do think Sonic Prime is a general enough term that they would not necessarily have to change the name if they don't want to. But like, yeah, like I would hope that they would do a completely different story arc
I'm
for
gonna have
the
I'm,
for a new season.
I'm gonna have to find a way to fit a Ben 10 reference into the comic talk later.
Okay. Um.
Hey,
So,
I
yeah.
so I guess our next big news story is, hey, Kishimoto's been. Oh wait, no. Yeah, I'll lump this in. Kishimoto's been talking about things on Twitter.
Yeah.
He is being weirdly responsive on Twitter for someone who is a director of a major game. That isn't also like part of an indie studio.
Or isn't that guy from Platinum Games whose name I'm blanking on right now?
Isn't he the one that blocks everyone?
Yeah,
Yeah,
until he killed his Twitter account.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have some stuff that he's thinking about the future of the series. We weren't able to report on all these, so some of these are coming from Shadow of the Hedgehog City on Twitter. So
Yeah, of course he starts doing this when we're all like busy with stuff.
yeah. If anyone has seen Dredd, please call us. We miss him dearly. He's not really. Yeah, he's busy. Yeah. So
Yeah, the kids.
yeah. So hey, the one we did catch was that Kishimoto was interested in the possibility of a no boost style gameplay in Sonic Frontiers, and ultimately still settled on using it, but still interested.
I mean, I do think that like it's kind of making this as like a transitional Sonic game and keeping boost elements was the right call, because whenever Sonic Team tries to remake too much of the wheel, they inevitably break it. But I am keenly interested in what a non-boost Sonic game would be. Like I have felt for a while that is the direction that they really need to go to make more sustainable game development.
Hear me out on this. I've got a pitch for you. Okay.
What?
It's sort of the Green Hill classic Sonic style in a lot of ways. But all the worlds are sort of tube-like or spherical, and instead of a boost, you just sort of have a run button, and you can do all sorts of parkour moves.
Ah, I see. So
what if Kishimoto also directs this game?
Like, yeah, so Sonic Lost World was their previous attempt to make a non-boost Sonic game. I liked it. A lot of other people didn't.
I have come around on that game. I think I am much more interested in what it was doing now than what it was doing back then.
I really liked the controls and the moveset. I think that the level design just didn't fully take advantage of what they were trying to do.
I think they also could have made his jump a little bit higher and a little bit less floaty, but
yeah. I do also agree with that. But like Sonic Lost World, that would be a pretty interesting moveset for a open world Sonic game. Although, like, I don't know, maybe I would still like to have some sort of rolling momentum in an open world game. So that, but like, with parkour elements and such, that'd be really cool.
Well, we have a sense of some of the feedback that he's been paying attention to, and this is coming with a huge caveat. None of this is set in stone. This is him taking in feedback and thinking about how they may design a game in the future. Do not assume that this means, well, fans want it, therefore he will implement it. That is absolutely 100% not the case. I think like late last year, someone responded like, hey, here's this video of like Sonic 1 or Sonic CD, and do you see how he like is influenced by the momentum of interacting with the stage? He's like, oh, well, we might have to look into that. It was like, every Sonic fan on the internet who prefers classic is pulling out their hair in response to this, like, ah! I don't know if that was authentic or if that was a troll or if that was just him being polite. Who knows? But
I would suspect that was just him being polite.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that sounds like a lot of responses we get from Japanese developers who, again, aren't that one guy from Platinum Games.
exactly. I want Suda51 to take over the Sonic Twitter account. Just it turns into everything about Japanese wrestling suddenly. Like, no Sonic involved at all. He sort of took on or responded to sort of the overall reaction of that people did not like returning to the past stages as they did them in Sonic Frontiers. The way that the cyberspace stages brought back Chemical Plant and Green Hill and the third one from Sonic and Knuckles that I always forget the name
Sky
of.
Sanctuary.
Sky Sanctuary, thank you. I hope that it's not... I hope this isn't interpreted as we don't like old style Sonic, or we don't like the aesthetics of classic Sonic, and more along the lines of we just don't want you to cheap out and seem like you're reusing assets.
Like, I would have been okay with them using
definitely
those
don't
locations.
want Green Hill in every single freaking game.
I want Green Hill.
I would have been okay with them using those locations if we got loads of other locations in addition to those.
Yeah,
I think that's the bigger issue.
If they spanned the full breadth of Sonic generations, and then maybe they could have even added... There's some great environments in Sonic Forces. If you don't remember the aesthetics of Sonic Forces, there's a really cool future city in there. The decrepit, blown-up city is great. I reuse those. Reuse locations from Sonic Sonic Unleashed. Sonic Unleashed locations look fantastic. The problem was they chose the 3 locations that, number one, we knew are just classic Sonic locations, so it kind of only reflects that part, and it's the ones that they've used multiple times over.
Yeah, like the Green Hill aesthetic, that has been in like dozens of games at this point. Sky Sanctuary, we got that in like a racing game. Yeah. I really could have gone for just more variety in the environment. So, but you know what? If he's motivated to do brand new cyberspace levels in the next game, I will not complain.
I mean, if it still has the cyberspace aspect to it, who knows? I would like the non-delineation between the two. I mean, one of my standing criticisms of Sonic Frontiers is I would have rather had a lot of the more focused platforming be involved with the open world aspect to it. But
yeah. I think one of my suggestions in the Frontiers episode was, you know what, it'd be great if we just integrated like platforming stages just into the open world itself.
Super Mario Odyssey does it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the Super Mario 3D world is more along the lines of what I was thinking, but yeah, I guess.
Super Mario Odyssey, though, does have sort of the open level design aspect to it. That's why it's my comfort.
I meant Bowser's Fury. That's what I meant.
I guess Bowser's Fury still has that issue where you still have to sort of go into the level region, and it's there, and it's not that big. It's just that it has a big hub world. I don't know. I like that game well enough. I just don't go crazy for it the way that some people are saying, this should be the future of Mario. And it's like, why? It's just if Peach's Castle was still Peach's Castle, but you didn't have to go through paintings. I guess that's novel, but how long is that going to be novel? I don't know. The thing that I think really spoke to a lot of fans was that there is going to be that Kishimoto is expecting to have more playable characters. I believe his phrasing was the next step for Generation 3 or Phase 3 or whatever it is to have more playable characters. And obviously, like, there's multiple ways to interpret that. There's certainly like, hey, we know Sonic Frontiers is getting additional playable characters next year as a free update as part of the roadmap, or at least some sort of update. We think it's free right now.
It's free. All the DLC is free. That's been confirmed.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting more playable characters. The way the graphic look seems to suggest that it will be more than one and would most likely be Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. But obviously we don't have any firm confirmation on that, and it won't be until, like, the latter half of this year.
Yeah.
I don't... You guys know my perspective on the playable characters thing. Like, do you feel strongly about this?
Yeah, what I
It's a
really
good
want
enough
to
reason
see.
to return. I was gonna say.
What I really want to see return are playable characters that are at least like Sonic clones with some differences. Like, like at least bring back Blaze and Shadow, let us play as them in their own campaigns again, or something like that. Like, but when you start getting into like characters that play completely differently, maybe require other genres, like I'm certainly like I'm a little less sure about that. Like, Sonic Team really needs to make sure they have the main gameplay down before they start going off and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah.
I think the problem is that's my starting point. Is I don't even get to the point where I get to say, and what if there are more characters? Like, I'm thinking, no, I want them to get one character right before I'm ready for them to start doing others. Now, that said, it might be a good way to start this if they can if they're taking this time building up to this third DLC release to basically make multiple characters work in this game format.
Yeah.
And it kind of depends on, like, okay, how much is Frontiers going to be the template going forward? Because if it is strictly a template going forward with, gameplay changes as they seem reasonable, then they at least have a sense of how they could incorporate other characters.
Yeah.
Like is Sonic Frontiers are they using it as practice, or was this something that was always sort of, on the plan of, like, these are the things that we could do?
My expectation was that the DLC was something that they were only going to do if Sonic Frontiers did well. Especially since it's free. Since I suspect part of the idea of this is to just keep the game selling.
It's a big enough world that they can use that Sonic, the main game is kind of a template for future games. But I think it's also wide enough that it's easy to add extra stuff to it. I'm just glad to hear that, they're doing more story content, even if it's just little DLC pieces in that. And it's, like I said before, it's a good enough reason to, want to return to the game if you enjoy the gameplay of Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah.
So,
like,
with that in mind, how far out do you think we actually are from the next major Sonic game?
I'm gonna say at least 3 or 4 years.
I was about to say the exact same thing, probably between like 3 to 5.
So you're thinking like 26, 27?
Well, I don't know. Like, we'll definitely need something for 26. So yeah. I'm thinking well, yeah.
My guess is that they're probably going to build okay. My guess. If it were me, if I was head of Sonic Team, no more 3D games. No. We would basically it would probably be something along the lines of using Sonic Frontiers as a solid template. Obviously, looking at the things it's doing well, trying things that we might have wanted to do in the first place, and then having teasers in 24 around the time that the next movie will be out, and release in 25, roughly.
Do you think that they'll really be able to get a new Sonic game out in I guess that would about 2 years after they released the DLC.
My guess is that they've given what Kishimoto's doing, like obviously this would be early planning stages, but I don't think the primary planning team needs to be involved with the DLC right now. I'm
Okay.
looking at like the stuff that they're offering. Obviously, the story content and the new characters are going to be the big thing, but most of everything else is like, hey, we've got these like extra mission modes. Hey, you can listen to the soundtrack. Hey, we've got Sonic's
Boss
birthday
Rush.
event and a boss rush, and it's like these aren't things that a primary development team needs to be involved in. And if
Yeah,
you
that's
have
true.
if you have your
No.
programmers continuing to make content for the game, well, your planners are probably in the background deciding what are we going to do next.
Although I think it may also depend on whether or not you consider like a 2D Sonic game that or to be like the next big one, because I do think in the interim we're probably going to get some more spin-offs and smaller projects like that.
I think so, but I think we're getting farther and farther from Sonic Team doing that on their own.
Oh yeah, I would expect it to be a third party probably.
Like we still have more than one team within Sonic Team. Like if you compare the credits of Sonic Sonic Origins and Sonic Frontiers, there and I basically did that. There's almost no overlap except for like, hey,
And
Izuka.
Sonic Team is going on a hiring spree.
Yes, it sounds like they're getting more people. So I
Yeah.
I just think it depends on like how big of a departure from Frontiers is the next game going to be, and I'm not inclined to say that Sega will let them make a massive departure from where Frontiers are. I think they might let them make it bigger, and I think they might give them more resources to make something a slightly different, but I don't think it's going to be a big change from what Frontiers is. I would say at least technology-wise.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Like, I think that the big thing that the Frontier sequel would need to do that I could see taking up development resources is figuring out how to like make the world more entertaining to go through and like working in more mechanics to replace the boost and such. And like you're gonna have to like change physics, change how Sonic interacts with the world to like really like to really like give a proper upgrade to the Sonic Frontiers formula.
But like we said, Kishimoto's not taking anything off the table right now. It seems like he's at least paying lip service to, well, what if we implemented physics? I'm being an asshole when I say that, but
yeah,
you know
because
what I
obviously
mean.
it already has physics,
Yeah.
but like a more physics-centric gameplay style, I suppose.
Exactly. We also saw something else from a big name associated with the franchise. Something we didn't get a chance to report on, but hey, we're going to talk about it here. Oshima, who artist of the original Sonic, correct?
Yep. He along with Yuji Naka, he's one of Sonic's co-creators.
I'm bad with names, and I wanted to. I'm bad with names and titles. I wanted to confirm. He originally had a pitch that would eventually evolve into the Sonic that we know today, and it was. And he recently shared on Twitter just a handful of sketches of Twin Stars, which featured two very late 80s, early 90s anime children with red and blue spiky hair and the ability to run fast in landscapes full of loop-de-loops and bizarre fantasy enemies. And yeah, that's eventually what Sonic would become. If you think back to a lot of the, what would you call it, like not demo, but pre-production, pre-release screenshots that we got, things like the weird gremlin enemy appear in these sketches, which would eventually, just give way to the more traditional badniks. It's neat. It's interesting.
So the concept art has some stuff that was in the early Sonic concept art. That got changed around eventually.
So, how many entries in next year's Sonic hacking contest are going to be to implement these characters into?
I'm gonna guess 1, maybe 2.
Only one? Okay, maybe two. Maybe two.
I think there's going to be as much interest with those guys.
There's a lot of interest in trying to recreate like the past builds or interpretations of the past builds of Sonic 1 based on pre-production art and pre-production screenshots. I like the characters, honestly. I like their designs.
Yeah, I do enjoy their designs. Like they've got like I guess these tank tops and blue and green and like they've got blue or red hair.
Yeah, it's neat. It's the face is very, to go back to being a One Piece fan, the face is very One Piece in many ways.
I was actually looking at the wrong design. Like they like looks like the more advanced designs. Like they have like little stars on their shirts and stuff. That's cute. It looks like a game built for like cooperative.
Yeah, and we know that eventually Sonic would get the partner in terms of Tails and have the second player.
Yeah.
So you figure at the time they were making something to go up against Mario and, Mario Brothers. Well, we've got our own brothers.
Man, I can only imagine what the American box art for these characters would have looked like.
Oh, they would look like Elmer Fudd, much in the way that Alex Kidd does.
Yeah.
That's the game patch I want. Reinstate Elmer Fudd, Alex Kidd. Bring him back.
Like, I think one nice thing about Sonic's design is that even like the super Americanized versions of him still look pretty good.
But you can also see it still very much plays into the aesthetics of what Sonic would be. Like, it's very Green Hill, it's built off of Speed, and it has the red, white, and blue with yellow star motif that...
You even got one of them with blue spiky hair.
Yeah, it would...
And you've got loop-de-loops.
And it would just go on to still be the defining aesthetic of Sonic 1 in the series as a whole. So, yeah, it's neat. I like it.
I'm certainly interested in some of the hacks that are going to come out of this over the next few years.
We are not only going to be seeing the Sonic Frontiers updates this year, according to Izuka. Izuka is telling us that, hey, there's going to be other Sonic stuff.
Yes. And that makes me happy. And like, what's important to me is that it sounds like he's talking in like plural. So, because we already know that a mobile game is coming.
They're definitely staffing up for something over at Hardlight. We just don't know what yet.
Well, like, we had a job listing for a narrative mobile Sonic platformer.
Yeah, Sonic's Genshin Impact. Collect all your Sonic waifus.
I am wondering, like, what else might we get out of this? Like, that rumor 2D platformer, is that going to be a thing? Or are we going to get something from Sumo Digital? Or, what? Like,
well, we certainly know that Izuka's talked up the idea of, like, hey, we know it was a really long span of time, and we are still very open to the idea of working with external partners to, make games, spin-off games, filler games between whenever we release these mainline games. So, I don't know if we're due for another Sumo Digital one quite yet, especially with Sumo Digital's business plan changing relatively recently. Well, ownership, I should say, relatively recently. I think they were...
Yeah, I think they were bought by Tencent or something.
That's my understanding, is that they were recently acquired by Tencent. And that might change things, it might not. But the other aspect of that is we can't 100% rule out the possibility of more content for Sonic Origins, can we? He says hopefully.
No, maybe we'll get something that will like make Mighty and Ray and Amy Rose playable, or maybe like Knuckles Chaotix will get the anniversary treatment, and all those characters will be made playable.
Nice.
I'm not even like, The extra characters would
I
be
think we
nice.
got more collections coming down the line in between the next two games coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes, more emulate
Or
collections would be nice.
emulations or remakes.
What we desperately need is a Game Boy Advance collection. Like,
Yes.
we are
How about
collection would be
how
awesome.
about like a Sonic mobile game collection, where like the Sonic Advance and Rush games are the centerpiece, but we also get Sonic Pocket Adventure and the Game Gear titles.
I was really worried when you said Sonic mobile game collection. I was thinking, wait a minute, I know what the mobile games are. I don't think we want that collection. I would want that collection, but nobody else
portable. Let's say portable.
We all want Good Friend Chow and Sonic's many card games that were exclusive to Japanese mobile phones.
You know what? I would really like. I would love for them to include all of those old cell phone games as like unlockables or something.
I mean,
but we all know Sega doesn't do the stuff like that.
I know. Well, no, what we need is the what are they called? Digital Eclipse Sonic collection, and it's just all of the old weird odds and ends, perfect, immaculately documented, in a beautiful Atari 50 style presentation. In the same way that you don't want to play games on Atari 50, but you want to see the presentation associated with it.
Like, you just want them preserved and to like have the option to play them.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, it would be nice of them to also have. I'm not going to complain that much about, hey, Sonic Origins doesn't have emulated versions, but I do think that at some level they probably should, release another collection that does have emulated versions, because for the sake of if you're gonna delist them on other platforms, at least make them available in some way.
Like, I was expecting them to have emulated versions in the game.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of beyond the scope of what that was, but
yeah,
I've argued with many people in our Discord about whether or not they should be in there. I don't know. I'd like collections. I'd like them to just recognize some old weird stuff. Yeah, Sonic Rush would be nice. They'd have to figure out a way to do the touch stuff. That would be the tough part.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think the only console that would really have difficulties with that would be the Xbox. Because, like, on the PS5, you've got the touch.
Oh man, you don't want to have to eyeball the precision that they demand in those special stages. Like, those special stages are brutal. You can't.
True.
Yeah. Only Nintendo Switch would be able to emulate that one.
And even then, you wouldn't want to play it like that. You need an actual stylus. Like, they'd have to find a way to actually make that work. I'm just get Sonic Advance out there. You have like 5 Game Boy Advance games that you could put out there, and it's a lot of content among each of them. And you know what? At this point in history, I bet a lot of people would be at least somewhat interested in them. They'll go back and realize, oh, you can't see crap on this screen. It's too small. But they'll at least buy it and be able to figure that out.
So, like, would you want your straight-up emulated versions, or would you want them to, like, port it and make it widescreen?
Look, every part of me just wants them to take the retro engine and put everything in it. Just put Does it make sense to put Sonic Triple Trouble in that engine? No, it absolutely does not. But do it anyway. Should you put Sonic 2 for Game Gear in that engine? No, in fact, you should bury that game underground. That game is terrible. Why would you ever want that back? But I want that back.
God, that second level in that game just kills me.
Every level in that game just kills you. I made it to the final boss. I've been recording a bunch of video for other streaming projects. Everything about that game is absolutely miserable. Everything about it.
I at least like the opening stage, and the first boss is pretty easy on the Master System version.
we haven't heard from you, Jason. Jason, what do you want from 2023?
I would like to at least see if they're going to do any remasters, maybe remaster like the Sonic Adventure collection or even
Ooh.
Sonic Heroes, because Sonic Hero, there's a thing where
Yeah.
some games, Sonic games, have been trashed in the past to get more loved, or there's ones that were loved in the past that are getting more trashed. Like Colors is a good example of that.
Boo.
Can we
But I still
get
love Colors, but I would like to see Sonic Colors brought over, maybe with a new engine, maybe fixed up a little bit. I think that game had a lot of potential, but the level design kind of failed it towards the middle and towards the
Do
end.
you mean Sonic Heroes?
Yeah, that's what I said. Sonic Heroes.
You said Sonic Colors.
Oh, sorry, Sonic Heroes.
You were
Can't-
confusing me.
can we
Yeah.
we get a much more faithful port, faithful to the Dreamcast version port of Sonic Adventure, so that the community can stop complaining about DX and realize that, oh no, this game does not hold up regardless.
That's not what's going to happen.
I know it's not what's going to happen, but if I'm going to get a chance to take a swipe at the community, I'm going to take it.
But yeah, like certainly if like my dream for Sonic 30th anniversary was going to be like collections that like bring over all of the games from across all of the platforms. But, that didn't happen. But like, at the very least, I would love for Sonic Heroes to like hit the Xbox backwards compatibility at least. But yeah, like certainly like one way to fill in the time over the next few years would be to just port things like Sonic Heroes, which I still have fun with Sonic Heroes, so I would just legitimately just like to just play a vanilla version of it if they could be so kind as to bring it over.
I have another pitch for you.
Oh no.
Okay, they bring back as Xbox classics Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic Riders, and they bring them back as backwards compatible on the download shop, only for the Xbox 360, and it's not available on any future Xboxes.
Well, now you're just being mean.
Now I'm just being Sonic 06, which appeared last year for no reason.
Wait, did Sonic 06 hit the digital stores or something?
Yeah, it did. If you own an Xbox 360, you can buy Sonic 06 again digitally and all of its DLC.
I forgot. All right, so
That's
I still
weird.
can't play it on my Xbox Series X then.
Nope. But if you have a 360, like the one I just purchased this year, you can play it.
So technically, I bought that Sonic 06 at the last minute a decade ago for no reason.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, I still have a disc copy, but it was like $5, so sure, I'll get the download version where I don't have to wait for loading times. Or at least I don't have to wait as long. Oh, boy. Hey.
Wait a minute, how much is it digitally? Because I still have it on disc.
$5.
Damn.
$5. Now, the DLC is still extra, but it's not that much extra, I don't think.
I mean, I think the DLC is literally just download keys.
Probably.
and it's for like, I think these like little bits of additional gameplay with the other characters.
It's like a hard mode and a boss rush, and then there's ones where it's like, yeah, you get this bit of level where you get to play as this other character that doesn't control well. Yeah.
Tails?
All of them. All of them. Are you kidding me? All of them. None of them control well. That is the thing about that game.
That game needed 2 more years in development.
Unfortunately, all it got was 2 more years of loading.
That game needed to die and then get replaced by Sonic Unleashed.
Probably. Okay, we don't have time to get into this as much as I would love to. We have comics to talk about. We have comics to talk about, and
we have like 2 entire arcs to talk about. I think.
We've caught up to 50.
One's not an arc. One was a miniseries.
Yeah.
Well,
so like we've got like the post issue 50 arc, and then we've also got
Scrapnik Island.
Scrapnik Island, yes.
So yeah, 50 leading up plus the annual if we wanted to, the annual and the Tales 30th anniversary, which I
Well,
accidentally forgot to read.
I can at least talk about Tails' 30th anniversary. Like,
The annual,
Okay,
we
that's
can
how
talk
we
about
didn't
it
even
briefly.
cover
It
that.
was a series of small stories. It was cute. I don't think we really
yeah,
need to give
like
it that much
it.
attention.
Basically the. Wait, actually, I feel like we talked about the annual already.
We did talk about the annual.
Okay, no, so yeah, we're good there. But 30th Tails 30th anniversary, fun story. I really, again, like it really supports the idea that we need a classic series for Sonic IDW. We just need it. Because I know that technically it's all like in the same canon again, but it just has a different tone. It's a bit, it's a bit lighter. It's a bit funnier. Tails is way cuter. It's just such a fun story that we got here, and like it takes this really obscure game and gives us a story-based sequel to it that gives all of these like one-off characters like an actual character. Well, admittedly, they're flat
A
characters,
lot of
but
personality too.
given the amount of screen time that they got, they have just enough personality to make they have just enough for the story. Like they're all these fun personalities.
Yeah, give me that. Like, yes, you can make the side story 4-issue arc that basically ends in the same way that the Sonic OVA ends. Sure, but give me the actual thing. Give me the real stuff.
And it was also fun just seeing 3D blasts again. The Flicky Island, like it was giving me flashbacks to the Archie special from like decades ago.
I mean,
And when
you know what I like? I just like cute Sonic and cute Sonic characters in cute locations. I like modern Sonic just fine, but
this is why I wish that they'd give the classics, Sonic its own kind of book, because it's so different in style and tone from what we have with regular Sonic now.
I suspect maybe Sega.
all we know is that like someone up in management, either IDW or Sega, does not want any other Sonic series yet. Like Ian Flynn keeps saying, if you want more Sonic series, you need to like just let IDW know. So I'm guessing that maybe they're not sure if it'll sell well or something.
Well,
I don't know.
There's also apparently some reports, at least last year, that IDW was having financial issues. So I don't know how.
Those reports have been going on for a couple of years now.
Fair enough. Sure, but yeah,
Nothing's really been confirmed.
I would like it, but in the same way, like I like classic Sonic. I want anything for more classic Sonic.
And Wendy Witchcart is a pretty fun villain. She's got the whole sort of Gruntilda rhyming thing going on.
She's a very classic Sonic style enemy. Like, you could not have an enemy like that in modern Sonic.
Yeah, she's just too goofy. Yeah.
Have Fang and his group of weird rogues have more adventures in the world of Sonic Mania with Mighty and Ray, and I don't know, maybe you could have the classic Chaotix in there. That'd be neat.
Gosh, that would be neat.
And then you could there was, I know, in one of the stories, actually one of them did have Honey the Cat as a background character in a classic IDW story. So.
Yeah, I think she is technically part of the classic roster.
Yeah, with Sonic the Fighters kind of being just up to the line, I guess.
So in addition to
I made myself sad.
Well, you know what? Hopefully, among the other Sonic things we'll be getting this year will be a new IDW ongoing series. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It just brought back memories of like discussions in Discord where it's like, man, remember how cool Sonic Universe was? Sonic
Yes,
Universe was so cool.
I miss that so much.
Yeah.
Like
I
one of
know
my
exactly
biggest
what you
issues
mean,
with
yeah.
IDW is that the world needs to be fleshed out, and a Sonic Universe type book would be so perfect for that.
Yeah. But yeah,
And
But
that's a big problem with
regardless,
IDWs. We're stuck in that world. We're just stuck with going from village to village to village.
we should probably
And
talk about comics that are actually out. And not comics
yeah.
that we would like to exist.
Well, it's Sonic
like
Universe
one location,
is Scrapnik Island. That's kind of
really
have been
appreciated
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah, let's
is
out the
Scrapnik
world.
Island.
let's get started with Scrapnik Island first. Like, how do we feel about the arc?
Oh, I love it. It is one of
I
my
love it very
favorite
much.
things
It was very
IDW
good.
did.
It's
Like it scratches all of my itches in terms of what I want from a Sonic comic. You know, it is a new kind of story. It like the characters actually struggle in it. There's like a lot of personality in the original characters. There's a unique location that we see a lot of, and we really get to know. Like there's just like it kind of checks all of my boxes.
is one of
You
those
know?
is one of those boxes effectively, hey, we've revisited Archie's Mechasonic versus Cyber Knuckles or whatever Mechasonic versus Mecha Knuckles.
No. I mean, that was cool. That was
It
really
did have that.
it was really cool seeing all of these like obscure badniks and less obscure badniks like come back out of the woodwork. You know, it was really cool seeing what happened to the egg carrier and the death egg. It was cool seeing a new E100 unit, and I really loved how they took all of these badniks and they basically like did an epic Mickey to them. They made them like super creepy, like leaking oil and stuff. And so in the first issue, Ix genuinely has a bit of a creepy atmosphere to it. But then, oh hey, it turns out that they're like all super friendly and cute, and like it really kind of makes me appreciate their designs even more. Did I just lose you guys?
No, you're here. You're just
Okay.
talking. You just
I
have a
got
lot
a
to
beat
say.
on my Steam Deck.
Okay.
But like yeah. So like, but ultimately, like what really makes this arc for me is like just Sonic being Sonic. You know, Sonic empathizing with the robot, Sonic feeling some fear, Sonic dealing with an injured leg, which is second time that happened last year.
Hey, Sonic fans. Did you hate that Sonic was a cool hero and tried to help Surge? Well, guess what? We're gonna tick you off again.
And like seeing Sonic empathize with his old enemies.
The villain gets redeemed.
Like,
Yeah,
one
this is a scenario where the villain does get redeemed.
yeah, Megasonic is
The one
great.
thing is that Flynn's been under all these Sega, what do they call them, Sega sanctions or whatever. Like rumor, that's what it is. For years about Sonic not being able to cry, and here at the end he's able to cry because hey, it's not my tears, it's
And it was so touching and so smart. Like, if that is still an active mandate that Sega enforces, like that was such a cute way to get around it. And like Megasonic, he is just such a good character in this.
So I haven't gotten it up on YouTube yet, but I encourage everyone.
Something I also wanted to mention, Ian Flynn was mentioning how Daniel Barnes posted this idea to Sega and gave them all the information, and they came back with no notes. They said this is perfectly fine, and Ian was so jealous of that.
That's okay. It hasn't made it up on YouTube yet. I do need to upload it, but I think it's still in the VOD. Last week-ish, I was able to sit down and do my 2020 year in review with James from Radio Free Nintendo podcast, and
cool.
And oh yeah, it's worth listening. It's dumb fun. But his response to basically me trying to explain the mandates on a podcast, not on that thing, but in another podcast, basically, I tried to explain the best I can that, like, hey, Sega does not allow him to cry. His response to that is, okay, if I were the person in charge there, then what I would do is I would create every scenario in which he has some sort of water in his eyes. But he's not technically crying, but he always has water in his eyes, no matter what.
But like ultimately, Mechasonic is the heart of this whole story, and it is something that I have not gotten nearly enough of in IDW, where like he has an entire arc over the course of the story that ends in just such a sweet way. Like as far as I'm concerned, like everyone is just in peak form throughout this arc. Sonic, Tails, everyone. So I got no complaints.
It's solid, and
I got nothing but praise.
And I am not kidding. The end, the last issue of that is basically just the Sonic OVA. Like it's just the Sonic. Like
Sonic doesn't let Metal Sonic die. Like that's a very obvious reference.
Almost beat for beat, like right down. It's just. I don't know if they intended it to be like that, but my God, was it so much like that?
That was intentional. Like, Barnes has been talking on Twitter about this stuff a lot.
It was right down to the psychic link between the characters.
Yeah?
Look how good the coloring is with this, the way that you have the dark tones and everything.
The artwork is just gorgeous.
Natalie,
it has a
Natalie Fordrain, and the color was just amazing on this.
The shading, the overall palette to it, the way that basically it's just an entire comic built off of like shades of very dull orange and shades of very dull blue, and everything sort of exists within that limitation, and it's a very effective color scheme.
And it does work well, their attempt to give this comic a creepy atmosphere.
Well, somewhere between creepy, somewhere between broken down. Like it's a color. It's a palette that invokes like the feelings of like rust and darkness and things being broken down, or just highlighting how dingy and dark the inside of the Death Egg is.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
And like, I'm really glad that like this didn't end with the Roblox like just getting off the island, because now this is the location that we can revisit. I'm really hoping that we get a game that gets to spend some time here. Like, can you just imagine an open world game that's just like has just like a busted up Death Egg taking up a large portion of the island?
Okay, I think you're asking too much. I appreciate I appreciate your chutzpah, but I don't think you're going to get that. I think you're asking quite a lot.
This would be a really good game location, so far as I'm concerned.
You might get like Rust Island, in which Sonic runs through all the rusty remains of some sort of machinery. I just don't think you're going back to Scrapnik Island in a video game. The first wave of Marvel Cinematic Universe TV shows had that thing where things from the movies could be canonical to the TV shows, but things in the TV shows were not going to be canonical to the movie. And I think we're going to get references here and there, but I don't think we're going to get the full integration that I think you're hoping for.
I'm really hoping you're wrong, because this would just be such a good open world location.
Look, it would be neat if I'm wrong. I just don't necessarily think that it's just going to work out that way.
Like, just like have Sonic and Tails flying over to it, and Tails explains the basic premise of the island. And that's all the people who don't read the comics need to know, and then we're there. And then, like, I don't know, Sonic's, like, fighting off robot invaders or something.
But yeah, do we want to jump back over to the main series with the...
Yes!
Yeah.
So, like, in addition to this being my favorite arc, one of my favorite arcs in IDW, this other one involving Surge is also one of my favorites. I've just really enjoyed seeing Surge kind of strike off on her own, and and trying to get the power that she needs to destroy Sonic. I really the whole point of this of the IW Sonic arc.
Even with Dr. Starline dead, she's still kind of under his orders because she just has to prove that she's better.
She's still being haunted by him. Is the problem?
Oh, there isn't.
It's not even her real memories and everything. I mean, that's what I love about Surge and Kitsunami is that they're villains, yes, but they're also victims because the memories and personalities put into them are artificial, and they can't they just refuse to get rid of them, or they can't get rid of them.
Oh, I'm trying to find the actual cover for this, but there is a cover for issue 55 that looks absolutely amazing. I'm gonna put it up on screen for the YouTube audience and Twitch audience. It's such a great cover, just sort of reflective of what's going through her mind during that time, with like the after images, the shadows of Starline sort of stalking her.
Yeah. Like I said, even though Starline is dead, he's still haunting her, and he's just feeding into her, and that her memories of him is just feeding into her own insecurities. It is essentially her own insecurities, her own issues with what she is, just manifesting as Starline. And what I really like, and the whole premise of this arc is Surge is trying to get the power that she needs to defeat Sonic and destroy the world. And so, she starts it by getting Eggman's, what is it called? The something cage. Anyway, it's this thing that allows her to absorb energy, and then she fights Whisper, which is such a good fight.
Because she needs the Wisp's energy to fuse the power of this, so her electrical powers are a lot more amplified.
Yeah, she accidentally realizes, oh my gosh, I can absorb the Wisp, and just engages in this utterly brutal fight with Whisper. Whisper just gets destroyed, and it's just so heartbreaking to watch. But it's also one of the rawest fights we've had in this comic.
Yeah, she just freaks out because she does not want anybody close to her to be taken from her, and the Wisps have been with her for a long, long time.
Yeah. And eventually Sonic and Tails get involved, and they're having serious issues, especially when it starts out with they've essentially rescued Kitsunami, and they're from Eggman's clutches, and they're trying to they're trying to take care of him, bring him over to their side, and that of course keeps going wrong because he needs to be the villain of this. And eventually it kind of comes down to Surge and Kit almost beating Sonic and Tails, but then I forget how they pull it out, but eventually they're able to fight them off, and they
team up with Eggman and Metal Sonic just to defeat those two.
Yeah, and then we the second half of this arc is just all about the rematch, and Sonic and Eggman have to team up, and I know they've done this before, the whole Sonic Eggman teaming up thing, but this is probably the most satisfying version of that for me, because they are just it's just Sonic, Tails, and Eggman just interacting alone, and they get a decent amount of screen time together, and it's just so interesting seeing how they play off each other in this situation. It's really good character writing from Stanley here.
Yeah, because they really just can't. They have to team up together, but they can't trust one another.
And also, of course, ultimately at the end of this, they do manage to beat Surge. I forget. I'm looking at it now, but she basically burns out, I believe, from using Eggman's device for so long.
She overpowers it and kind of fries herself.
Yeah.
With the combination of filling the room with water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And throughout all of this, Surge's insecurities are just getting worse. near the end of this, she's just muttering, "I'm not enough, never" to her, and it's just like Stanley manages to like make them threatening villains while at the same time, working the tragedy into everything about their characterization and how they're being portrayed in the story, and that is just such a unique take for a Sonic villain that I don't think we've ever really gotten that before.
Well, it's
this much emotional damage to them.
Yeah.
There's something that I brought up a few times that I think still applies here, where there's only so much that the comic can do with the core characters for basically the vision of, okay, everything's a unified universe to really apply. And the way that the comics have seemingly handled that is they have their own original characters, and they are characters who emotionally live and react to being in the world where Sonic and Tails and all the other characters are on grand adventures and fighting supervillains. Like, that they are the characters that get to have development. They are the characters that get to have the stronger backstory. They are the characters that go through things, usually going through the experience of interacting with with a much more stagnant isn't the right word, but with a much more static character like Sonic has to be for the series to make sense in the way that it does. They get to be a bit more dynamic, but they get to hit up against the icons of Sonic and Tails and Metal Sonic and Dr. Eggman.
And like for Surge, like her interactions with these icons is, "You've ruined my life, and I hate you for it, and I'm going to destroy you." And that's just not something I think that, and that's just not something we've ever really seen before. And Evan Stanley writes that very well. Like, I have very few notes here, and like so, like ultimately, I think this is probably like just like what like my favorite arc. At least it's up there in terms of the main IDW book. And I am so happy that this did not end with Surge and Kit being permanently taken out of the picture. Like, they get again at the end of all this so that they can be villains again. And I have no idea where they're going to go from here.
Yeah, they have to get to a point where they were, eventually defeated, but can return again at a later point. But for now, the imposter syndrome saga is going to be over for probably the next few months or so.
Oh yeah, like for the next story arc, Surge and Kid are just not nowhere to be seen. But I'm just happy to like have another addition to the comic rogues gallery that is wholly separate from Eggman. Especially now that Starline said we really need something like this to replace him. So I am just looking forward to seeing where Surge goes from here. I do hope that Surge and Kit will eventually have an end to their story as well, especially given how tragic it is. But right. for now, I'm pretty happy.
I mean, to an extent, we're still dealing with comic books here, so maybe not an end.
Starline got to die after like.
Yeah, but also he remains a continued presence in this, so. And quite honestly, he died in great parallel to the events of Sonic number 50 from Archie.
True, it is always possible that they could resurrect him, but
in one way or another, who knows? But I think it's about time for us to wrap things up for the evening. I too am looking forward to whatever the series transitions to next. I think it'll be interesting to see more.
I'm really looking forward to the next story arc, because we're getting Tangle and Whisper, and apparently and Lanolin, who's just been a background character until now. So I'm hoping this will be a fun time.
Just some background sheep character. It's never had any lines up until now.
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting. It's the Empire arc.
Nice.
So go into the Imperial City.
So with that, hey, everything we do here at Sonic Talk is brought to you by Sonic Stadium over at sonicstadium.org. You can check out Sonic news, community stuff. We have message boards. We have a Discord. We've got all sorts of coverage as best as we can keep up with the small staff that we have. And we've got more streaming stuff coming up. It's January's a slow year. It's a recovery year. It's a month. It's a month where we're, trying to pick up stuff that we have. We have ideas for new streaming series. We have old streaming series that will return sometime next month. I don't know when yet, but keep an eye out. We got stuff in the pipeline. Alex, what do you have in the pipeline?
Oh, nothing at the moment. I'm hoping to get back in the saddle when it comes to writing for Sonic Stadium soon, though. But that's probably not going to happen for at least another week. Ideally, I really do want to get a Sonic Frontiers. I really do want to get a Sonic Frontiers article up. That's about what I want for the future of the Sonic franchise after that game. And I would love to, and I really should probably get a Sonic Prime review up, since apparently that is going to be my job.
I don't know. At this point, you might as well wait until the next set of episodes.
Nah, if I keep doing that, then I'm just never going to write a review. So I don't know. But at the very least, it'll be good practice for me, because I very rarely write reviews about television stuff. For me, that's just a completely different mindset from a video game. But we'll see. I'm hoping. Well, hopefully, I'll be back in the saddle for articles soon. But until then, I'm actually going to be just news articles from me.
And Jason, what about you? Anything up?
Nothing up right now. Same as here. I got a lot going on in my life ever since I moved. It's been having a hard time finding any time really for anything, but hopefully I can get some articles in soon. I'm checking for my WordPress here. I think I might be able to get a news article tonight, because I believe you guys, I think there's a story that came out that we haven't covered. So I am going to try that actually tonight.
Oh, good.
See what it is.
Cool. And right now I'm just covering news on the site as best as I am able. Most recent article I put up is the Netflix holding Sonic Prime event in Santa Monica, California on Saturday. The one that happened yesterday that apparently I have no idea what it's on about. I recommended, hey, I don't know what's here, but apparently there's a Sunglasses Hut and Johnny Rockets, so why don't you go out and enjoy that? With that in mind, I do have some streams coming up. I'm hoping to have you on one of them, Knuckles, in the future. I owe 2 streams based on something that I will not discuss. One of which might actually become a series. I have a new series in the works that's going to involve lots of mascot characters and determining their mascotiness. So look forward to that. I don't know if it'll be next month or March or when, but it's going to be sometime in the future because I owe you guys some extra streams. So hope you enjoy. With that, peace, everyone. We'll catch you next month.
Bye.
Yeah, see you later.